the podcast started, if you guys have been following, with the first things we always talked about was like marriage and just personal development for Muslim men. And we don't want to talk about that too much because it's hard to we don't want to belabor the point.
It's hard to continuously keep talking about that. Yeah.
But it's also needed to go back to it, especially after we learn some stuff. You don't want to be the person.
Now it's two married men.
Yeah. I was going to say, you don't want to be the guy who's not completely done on something and still telling people how to do it. Because it's kind of unauthentic, whack. It's you fat, you telling people how to work out. It's bro, shut up, bro. But I think it's necessary. I know myself personally, just to be transparent with my YouTube channel, it's a passion project, but lately I just want to focus more on topics just for Muslim men, because I realize if I could impact anyone, that's who I would impact, young Muslim men, because that's the people I care about. For a while I was just making videos for everyone on the internet, but you got to find a niche, and I think Muslim men are those people who matter to me. It's really interesting. I see in the self-help space, right? I came to the conclusion that Muslim men need specific content for them, because I watched a lot of self-help videos in the past, and I would always filter out the information. For example, I listened to somebody who was giving good life advice about getting the money together, being confident, and then the topic of woman will come up. And they'd be like, yeah, bro, you got to get a bunch of women in rotation. You got to treat women like this, like that. And I had to filter that out because I'm that completely goes against my faith.
It's garbage.
It's garbage. And even the faith comes first. I'm trying to figure out how to better myself, but I'm also just not going to go against what God has told me to do. But what do you do, right? Or people might give good financial advice, and then they say, yeah, you got to cut your parents out of your life. And I'm like, excuse me? That's not okay. That's not okay. So the faith always comes first, and I realize, okay.
Or if you have anyone toxic in your life, just needs to be cut out and crossed. Doesn't matter the relation, nothing.
Yeah. And I realized the faith comes first for me, and then I realized I'm not special at all. Plenty of other Muslim men are listening to this content as well, and they're also filtering it out, which made me think, why?
Or not filtering it out, which is potentially even worse.
Which is even worse. So I'm thinking, why don't we just have content for Muslim men, by Muslim men? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That we don't have to filter out. In this episode, we kind of want to talk about marriage. If you guys like it, make sure to support the podcast on patreon.com/thoughtfulbanter. That's the best way for you to support us. And also, if you can share, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, if you disagree with us or agree with us, let us know in the comments down below. So, how do you get married, Hussein?
How did I get married? Or
how do you get married?
How do you get married? I think. Sorry, I'm distracted. Let me open Audacity. I was doing work stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. Emailing.
Woo! All right. Ask me a question again.
How do you get married?
How do I get married? Oh, I think of the process of getting married kind of like getting a bachelor's. And what I mean by that is most people, when they see your degree, they're less concerned with and this is not for all fields, but a lot of fields, they're less concerned with the specific field related knowledge that you have. And a lot of times they're more concerned with can this person do something that sucks for 4 years and actually achieve it? Can they set a goal for themselves and actually achieve it? And so how I compare that to marriage is a lot of the times if you're dealing with reasonable people, then that's also what they're concerned about. They're concerned about, can this person set a goal, say that they're going to do something, and completely follow through with it, even if at times it was hard or at times it sucked or whatever. So I guess in getting married, one of the things I did for myself was, while constructing my plan, set personal goals for me to reach and for me to show okay, I might not have this now. I might not have the money that you want right now, but in my past, I've completed this, and that. And this proven track record of me achieving my goals should be good news for you as far as me being able to achieve what I want to, or get the kind of money that you think I need for your daughter in the future, Obviously, I was also extremely lucky that I had a lot of help from my parents and my wife's parents, which honestly,
community,
and the community, exactly, which is a big part of is a humongous part of it.
Yeah, that part can't be understated for sure.
What about you though?
I think that like your point is so good, and I think it really comes down to like you have to believe you're worthy, and not like just delusional belief. Like if you just believe and you're not worthy, like you should know that you're not. But like at the same time, it's like the belief matters, because it's like a lot of dudes do have things together and they're constantly just chasing new goals, and it's because deep down inside they're not confident, they don't believe in themselves, and those are the kind of guys that, like, you know, I don't want to say, but like probably remain single forever because they just can't seem to get a grip on like being enough.
Yeah.
And that is, although it is dangerous to think that you're worthy when you're not, I think it's more guys to the problem that they don't ever believe they're going to be worthy.
Well, that's also what you have, like people around you who can give you that like feedback. You know, if you're like lone wolf, I know, like, oh my god, America is like obsessed with like the individual, right? Obsessed with individualism and being your own man and yada 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 yada. And people get stuck in like, you know, I'm just gonna grind. I'm just gonna
disappear for 3 months.
Disappear for 3 months. You know, I'm gonna black everything out. I'm not gonna talk to no one. They were praying for my downfall anyway.
It's so weird.
It's
so weird.
But people who do that, again, because they don't have this sounding board. Either one, they're delusional, or two, as far as like their worthiness, or two, they have no concept. They will never know when they are worthy because they don't have anyone to give them feedback about those things.
Yeah, exactly. It's such an interesting thing because people are like you see people get married all the time, like guy in school who's like switches major. I know a guy who like switches major 3 times, and got married. He wasn't working, and like he's still successfully married. He's like a good husband, you know. And like I know guys who are making like high end 6 figures who aren't married yet. I really think that like if you are trying your hardest to get your life together, and you have the right family conditions and community conditions, like support, and you're like actually being sociable and know how to talk to a woman, I don't think like and you want to get married, and you sincerely pray to God, because God's the only one that can get you married. But like, you know, if you sincerely ask God, like, make your intentions clear, you want to get married, I think that's how most people, like, that's how you really get married at the end of the day. Because again, like we know people who are like who are very wealthy, but they just don't seem to like want to get married at that point, or they just don't know what they're waiting for. Like they're not ready. They have like this lingering, like they're not ready. And it's like you see other people who are like will still live with their parents and will be more ready.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a weird thing because it's like it's not a matter of if you live. I don't think it's a matter of just like do you still live with your parents, or necessarily how much money you make, or necessarily what your education is. It's like, are you responsible for yourself? Do you take responsibility for where you're at always? And are you willing to do whatever it takes?
And that's why I'm not a big fan of the whole clean your room thing. Keep your room in order.
You don't like cleaning your room, is it?
I mean, I don't. But but besides that, it's just that there is, and it's the same thing we said on like the Twitter fingers episode. If you don't give like, if you don't do 2 things, either you don't emphasize the importance of having good people around you to let you know when you are good, right? Or if you don't give like a defined limit, and I know the reason why they don't give defined limits, because every person is different. I understand that, but give me something in lieu of that. Like talk about also the importance of having like good friends and good community around you.
Yeah.
Don't just tell me keep your room clean, worry about yourself before you worry about anything else. And here I am, 40 years old, continuously focused on my infinite potential for like development.
Yeah.
And I'm still not married, or I still don't have a family.
Yeah. Dudes chase around like also like another thing about marriage is like dudes will chase around the perfect person. Men and women, like usually at different times. I hear generalizing that women, when they're younger, have more options because they're younger, and most of the time men want young, beautiful women. So they see all this plethora of options, and they're like, "Yeah, I can wait. I can buy my time."
It's always going to be there.
Yeah. And then men have no options when we're younger because we broke. Then you're like 35, and you have a lot of options if you've been like doing anything with your time worthwhile. Usually, like you're more stable in your career and all that. You know who you are. then you're attracted to the woman, but like the woman your age, you're less attracted to, and you're going after like these 18 to like 25-year-olds, but they have a bunch of other 35-year-old guys going after them too.
Exactly.
And I think the message there is like you have to settle. Everyone has to settle.
And they also have like younger guys who are also successful going after them as well.
That's dangerous. Ooh.
Yeah. So like you have 25-year-olds who are like set in their career, making money, you know, going after them as well. And if they have the choice between two people who are relatively the same but one's younger, like
so it's just a matter of like everyone has to settle at some point. No one is that special, and we all have our time where we glow and shine. You will, but like that time is over. It will have its end. Like look at every athlete has like their prime, their peak.
Bro, I was speaking of this. This is a little tangent, and then you can get back to your point. Please don't forget your point. Like put a pin in it for real. But speaking of athletes, I was looking at a video. It was like a compilation of LeBron James when he was in Miami, and I was just looking at that compilation and comparing him to like how he plays now, and oh my god, like. As you're watching, you don't realize like the drop off in his athleticism. Like he's still like a freak of nature as far as like athleticism compared to like the average person. But if you compare him to himself, you can see like he's just nowhere near as dynamic. Nowhere near as dynamic. I remember 2 years ago I was watching a highlight video, and he jumps from like about like just inside the free throw line, and he goes for a dunk and he misses. And I was like, wow. At that moment I was like, he's getting old. He's getting old. That's because Miami LeBron would have obliterated that rim.
That's crazy athletic.
But anyways,
exactly to that point though, like you're gonna have like if you are putting in the work and like you have goals and stuff, everyone's gonna have that time when like you're at your peak. We all have a peak, but no one's peak lasts forever. Even with steroids, no one's peak is gonna last forever. So it's like you got to know that, and you have to realize that marriage is about finding a lifetime partner. And you want to find someone who understands that. And like people chase this peak in each other. Men usually seek it sexually, and women usually seek it like in status, like monetary, like safety. And that's okay. We both want these things. Women are gold diggers, and men are, I guess, sex diggers. I don't understand. Beauty diggers, like whatever. But it's like we both want the same things and also some other stuff, but at the end of the day it's like you just have to understand what you're getting into and settle. Like I genuinely believe like most guys just keep looking for the fantasy girl, and it's kind of synonymous with pornography use. I think like it's kind of like how people become fetishized, right? And they look for like the best thing, and I'm like, dude, not to sound crass, but like there's so many different beautiful women in the world, and at one point it's just not objective. I think there is an objective line for beauty, but after a certain point, it's no longer objective. It's just preference. You have two women who are just as beautiful as each other, just as healthy as one another, have great personalities, but one's a different race than the other. And it's like, okay, there's just some difference in racial preference there. And the issue is like, if you don't know your nafs would be like, one's better, but it's like, brother, that's only nice for you today. Tomorrow you want the different thing. So you have to just understand how your nafs works and just settle at some point. Like, exactly. You know what, in this range, this is beautiful enough, and I'm just gonna I'm okay with this the rest of my life. And women should do the same thing. Like, okay, you know what, a Lambo would be nice, but you know what, if I can just stay to lower middle class to upper middle class my whole life, I'm okay with that. Like, it's that simple.
I was watching Peaky Blinders. I've been watching Peaky Blinders. Do you remember when Tommy just randomly surprises his brother and is like, "You're getting married to this gypsy family"? And he was like, he didn't want to, but then they got married and had like a pretty decent relationship. Right?
That's how it was done back in the day.
They just made it work.
And
while like obviously
it's not that bad,
there can be issues with that model potentially. There is something to take away from that, as far as like the settling aspect of it.
He's like, listen, she's good enough, right? She's fertile. Like I mean, that's what I think back then. It's like, can she give you sons? But like, seriously,
is she attractive? Is she attractive enough? At least, like, you know. But there was a lot of settling that happened.
Like know your brother, but like basically, it's like, I know my brother. Like, you know, she's attractive enough. Good family. I mean, you're gonna wait forever?
Exactly.
Here's the thing too. I tell guys. Here's what I also told guys. I'm like, bro, once the family and the personality is taken care of, I think it's really difficult for me not to say just settle. Because I'm like, the family is huge.
Yeah.
Family is almost everything. The only thing that matters more than family is that person themselves. If the person is good and the family is going to hold you down and like hold her down towards you, like help to keep you two together, not pull you two apart. What else? What else do you want?
What else do you want? Yeah.
You want something a little bit prettier? Get some more money, buy makeup. I don't know, bro. Like buy your wife some makeup. Yo, get her a pedicure. It's like, you know, like how rough can it be, bro?
Yeah. Yikes. But yeah.
No, like seriously, it's like I don't understand. It's like it's just not beautiful enough. I'm like,
No. I agree with what you're saying. I was yikesing at the phrasing, but yeah.
I just gotta keep a buck. I'm like, what are you waiting for?
Uh-huh.
I mean, maybe this is maybe like a pivot towards like lowering your gaze.
Mhm.
Why it's important for you to just like,
So you don't build these like wildly ridiculous expectations.
yeah,
Maybe,
like
yeah.
there's so much importance in lowering your gaze.
Yeah.
Even trying to, like, I don't want to. I don't like the nofap obsession with like streaks and being perfect. But the pursuit of lowering your gaze is so important because, like, we have become desensitized to anything sexual nowadays. But the truth is, you should be like
hypersensitized.
You should be hypersensitized.
Yeah, I mean,
you shouldn't need like all this extra stimulus.
yeah,
You should be able to look at a girl in the face and know if she's attractive or not. And if you're just out here like bombarding your mind with Instagram models and pornography, you might not be able to do
who
that.
represent like a fraction of the population.
They don't even represent a fraction. It's like these Instagram pictures are like you and your pump. You're
Also,
never as good as your pump.
You're never as good as your pump. Also, it's like you on your pump. You edit the photo to make the lighting like hit, you know,
It's a
like
perfect angle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take it at the perfect angle. A little brush up here or there, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah,
You're dehydrated.
it's not even
too.
reality. That's
It's
the
not
thing.
reality.
It's not even reality.
Me and my pump, I look different, Hussein. It's not reality. That's why I like it. I go to hit the lighting. I skip breakfast. I'm like, yeah. You know, the stomach will be a little flat in this pose. Like, you know, that's how, like, you know, that's the social media game we live in. I think like understanding a range of what's enough for you
yeah,
is good. Like a range of attractive. Like that's a real conversation to have.
a range of attractive, a range of like, if you're religious, like religiosity.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
I think like you gotta, and like this is like people just, you have to like make lines in your life. Like people don't like you to talk about weight, but it's important in conversation. Like, okay, I don't want a wife that weighs more than like 180 pounds.
Or like,
You know what I'm saying? Like-
even between you and that person, it's like,
Yeah, have that conversation.
yeah, have that conversation about like how much that matters to you.
You should definitely have a conversation.
Yeah,
like,
like if like, and I like think life happens. There's also potentially with that an issue of like, again, dudes having like unrealistic expectations, right?
Mhm.
Like when your wife gets pregnant, she's not going to be an Instagram model.
and 6 months after,
Is
a
not
year
gonna be
after,
an Instagram
she's
model.
not going to be an Instagram model. Bro.
You know, so like there
Yeah.
is like, even then that goes to your point of lowering your gaze, but life happens, right? And there should be like allowance for that, but it is a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, at
You
least
know?
an honest conversation.
And then like
yeah.
someone who has like realistically, someone who has unrealistic expectations in that regard is just gonna get rejected and keep getting rejected until at some point they can realize, maybe this is not reasonable.
Yeah, and then your options are way slimmer than before. You're gonna go back to the same people who wanted you.
Exactly.
And they're taken by people who are a little bit more grateful.
Exactly.
And then you'll be left with scraps. And you know, like there's a huge bubble of these like people in their late 30s who are all single. I'm like, they're not marrying each other. It's like, I don't know what y'all.
I mean,
It's rough.
you missed the boat, bro.
You missed the boat. You got to settle.
And now you don't want to settle.
Yeah, now you don't want to settle. But like, you know,
You should have settled then, and then you would have been good.
Hey, yo, chill.
I mean, obviously there are things that you're not supposed to
No,
settle
no.
on, but we're talking about like those that we're taking it as a given that we're not discussing.
But that's a good point you raised. What shouldn't you settle on?
I mean, I think like level of religious practice, like we're talking about Muslim guys that we've talked to.
Yeah.
So your level of practice, if you're someone who is religious, quote unquote, or like at least covers all their bases
Care about
religiously,
your deen.
and they care about like growing spiritually and cultivating that spirituality, then don't marry someone who does not care about that. Even if they
never ends up well.
even if they might take care of all of their wajibat, for example, but they don't care about going further, and you're interested in doing something like that. No.
I don't see relationships end up well like that. Like it's very complicated. Like you see people from like multi-faith households, and usually the kids end up like on some kind of agnostic or like biracial religious wavelength. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just confusing.
Yeah.
It's very confusing to have like a mom that's Christian and a dad that's Muslim, or like anything like that. It's just
Bro,
it's hard.
in every single instance I've seen of that, either the kid is like again like agnostic atheist, or they just did what their mom did.
Like do what your mama did because you spend the most time with your
like
mom.
every Shia Sunni relationship that I know of, like people whose parents are Shia and Sunni, their mom is usually Shia, and guess what the kids are?
Shia.
Yes.
And if the mom's Sunni, the kids are Sunni.
Exactly.
Because your mom just spends that quality time with you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's okay for that to matter. It matters to me. Be honest about it though. Like some people just like, people think about themselves, but it's like, dude, you're gonna make a seed with this person. You don't understand. You're gonna have kids, and then you're gonna have to look at those kids and be happy with your goal. Is like you should be happy with who your kids become. So you have to have that vision, like even like on every level. And like it's okay to have your preferences because you're making a human being, bro. Don't you want to have a human that you're proud of being responsible for?
Yeah.
You know, like if you have a kid with somebody who like has bad habits and you hate those habits, do you want to be with them? But again, like people sometimes get in situations because they're hyper desperate and they just think about what they need in that moment. Like they're just lonely. And like, that's what I see, like people getting like in mixed faith situations. Like it doesn't matter because
or someone they met at like college or something.
I love them. I'm like, bro, you can recreate love, bro. Spend some time away from her. You get lonely again and you'll find someone else to love. Exactly. I'm sorry. Exactly. Like people like think it's too late. I'm like, you can always get feelings again. And that's like a very like immature mindset.
It's also like a Western thing though.
Yeah.
It's like love trumps all.
This spark is special.
Love trumps all, and like it is there no matter what. There's no like work that needs to be put into it. You know? Yeah,
it's more just like, if you're lonely, this person's filling your time, you're void of loneliness. Get lonely again and you'll get in love again.
It's like, you know, like when they have like two people that were a couple, like they were like each other's like first like serious relationships, and then they break up or whatever, and then years later they're with someone else. One of them is with someone else, and then like inevitably the person that is single draws them back because there's just that connection, that old connection of love. Now, while there might be something to like the significance of like first serious relationships with each other, right, on both sides, there might be something to that. Ultimately, it comes down to a decision. It does. You know, it comes down to a decision about what you want and how you want to live your life. It's not like, oh, love just took the wheel happened. And like it just happened.
You tripped and slipped in.
Exactly. It's like that. No, that's not how it happened.
It's very funny. I mean, like there is like huge psychological implications to like your first experiences. I actually made like a video about that. I was like, wow. My wife was like, bro, you talking about this stuff on YouTube? I was like, yeah, bro, because I'm trying to talk about like doing like the self-help thing for men. I was saying like 3 reasons you should get married, and the first reason I said was like you want to plan out your first sexual experiences because they oftentimes make who you are. People always talk about finding out who they are, but you kind of make who you are
and make that your reality.
Make it a reality. Instead, you're just letting life happen to you and finding love, and it's like you are opening your door to
what is
anything.
That Cole Jung quote? That Cole Jung quote.
Looking to the abyss, and the abyss looks back. That's a lot.
No. It's like
the Cole Jung quote. Find that, Jamie. Can you pull that up?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now, bro. It's cold. It's cold.
Did you look up Cole Jung quote? How are you finding this?
I looked up. Hold on. What is it? Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Cool.
That is definitely cool. That's bars.
Yeah, but type B.
No, that's type B. Yeah, people like you see like women, for example, like they'll settle for a guy who they like it's safe, but they're not like really attracted to. They want like more like a bad boy kind of thing, and it's like that's unconscious, and like you gotta make that conscious, girl. And find yourself someone with tattoos or something like that's okay. Like it's okay to like what you like, or get over it. Yeah, or exactly. Get over it. Or just get over it. Yeah, it's just a thing. You know, that's simple.
What is your reality? Yeah.
I want to talk about like briefly like the financial side because maybe some guys actually like tell me how to get married. Bro, I think the financial side is like it's difficult but it's simple. What I mean by that, it's like you got to find out how to make enough money. So like first find out what enough money is. Like go in your area and figure out like at the bare minimum how much a decent apartment is to rent. Find out how much like average car payment is, average insurance. Like find the averages for all living expenses in your area. Then figure out how much you're making right now, and then see how much you're missing, and then look up a way for you to make up that much money and find something that's more of a guarantee. Please do not look at something like, I mean, on the side, Shopify, like trading and all that, that's cool. But like find something that you can look at someone in the eye and like say, hey, I can reliably do this because I'm making this. Like if you're like, I'm telling you, our Ayatollahs even recommend this. Trades, electricians, plumbers, HVAC work, like these blue collar jobs that are always going to be needed.
And always like dependable paycheck, reliable,
These jobs are based on skill sets. I'm not talking about like fake degree jobs, which are good, but they're not always, it's not always a guarantee. If you have a skill set, you will always be making that money. And if you always increase your skill set, you'll always be making more money. So like if you can find something like that, and a lot of good, the good thing is a lot of times those jobs you can get in them, you can get that money after a year of working. If you put your head down right now and decide you're going to be a plumber, you're going to get an apprenticeship and you're going to be busting your butt, and like you're going to have a path in a year. Same thing with like a lot of other blue collar jobs. So if you can just, how much you're making, or how much you need to make, you have a plan and you have this written out for like someone's dad, I guarantee they're going to be impressed if they're reasonable by the sheer amount of effort you put into just a plan.
Absolutely. Also, like adding on to that, again, going back to the importance of like community and having like good family relationships. Obviously everyone's circumstances are different, but a lot of times when you have people to rely on and you have people that you can like go to and they can be your mentors or they can be your friends, a lot of times when they see you making these improvements in life and see you trying to make your way in life, they're going to support you.
Absolutely.
They're not just going to let you, oh yeah, you got that, dog. Like your parents, for the most part, like
they want what's best for you.
Exactly. Bro. They're going to help you.
It's okay to ask for help. Like, don't feel like you need to do it by yourself, but like
have
a plan.
This is like a symptom of the symptom of this sick individualist American culture. I'm gonna keep harping on it. But you do not have to do everything yourself, like Matthew was saying. It is actually very important that you have strong connections with people around you, community members, mentors. We've just completely forgotten about like mentors as a thing. Not we
Americans.
No, not even like all Americans, like because the rich ones they be doing it.
Yeah, they understand it.
Yeah, exactly.
but they hide this. They hide the truth from the poor.
Exactly.
They hoard the truth. And like also we always look at like I hear this thing like masculinity this, masculinity that, and there's always this fake comparison of masculinity back in the day looking a certain way. But like, bro, look at the Prophet's day. Like Imam Ali, when he first got married, his mom lived with him, and it was like a 1 bedroom home to start off with. Do you know how uncomfortable that is? You know what I'm saying? Like that was like life back then, man. People didn't have a lot. You know what I'm saying? People like lived with their parents back then. Yeah. So it's like this idea of like this. Don't think this is masculine. Think like this is capitalism, which is not masculine. And it's okay to have humble beginning. It's okay to always have a humble place. But the idea is like you are responsible for the work you put in. You have 24 hours in a day, brother. If you're actually working with your 24 hours, you're not wasting time. You work. You do some self-education. You focus on the deen. You have family time, and you're at where you're at. That's where you're at. Mm-hmm. The issue is if you're broke and poor and you're spending that time doing video games and messing around. At the end of the day, not everyone can be rich. That's the truth.
Most people aren't going to be rich. You're not going to be rich. Statistically, yeah.
But if you put in the work and you ask Allah to provide, you're going to have something. You're going to have enough, inshallah, and that's all that can be asked of you.
Yeah. Yeah. That was well said. Beautiful.
I mean, it's just the truth, but it's just uncomfortable because we don't want to. We don't want to admit that. And again, we have like these fantasies and stuff on social media. But hey, you know what? Sometimes even something is more than these people are going to have, because people are going to chase this glamorous riches and stuff, but they're not going to have stability, because stability is built after years of work. Like if you're putting your head down working like on a craft, even if it's something that doesn't pay even if it's something that will never pay you 6 figures, but you can make like close to 6 figures, right? Let's say making 60,000. Hey man, if you're working at a young age, making 60,000 from like 22 to 30, you should save up some good money.
I was about to say. Yeah. Also, there's like an aspect of like living within your means.
Yeah, live within your means. You can live humbly.
Yeah,
you don't have to impress anybody. Get the used car, bro. You should see all driving.
Get that used car, exactly.
Get that used car, bro. Get that Nissan Versa, bro.
Exactly.
Like, get what's affordable and like stop trying to flex on people.
There's also there's also like maybe like this might be like a little bit more controversial, and there are exceptions to like there are exceptions to every rule, but generally you also want to like go for people within your like
economic status,
socioeconomic status. You know,
that makes sense.
Like that's a real thing.
That makes sense, dude.
Because you're supposed to be able to provide to the level that their father provided for them.
Yeah.
You know, and if their father is like, now this is not like, obviously like your wife is a person and she can be understanding of your circumstances and like forgo you, or for like you might not have to like, she might not hold that standard over your head, right? That there is a possibility of that, but just as something to keep in mind. Just as something to keep in mind.
That's facts.
Yeah. And sometimes there are things that like people don't know they need because it's always been given.
Very true.
And so when it isn't being able to be given to them, things could change. Again, every circumstance is different, but this is something to keep in mind. Don't reach for the stars, bro.
Yeah, have you hung out with rich people before and they don't know how rich they are? Like they'll be like, I don't have money. I'm like, bro, that purse is my paycheck. And like the month.
Just sell it, bro.
Yeah.
just
like,
sell
bro,
it.
some people are just very wealthy and they just don't understand.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think one last point we should briefly cover is like when we say like Allah provides, it's like truly Allah provides, and that's not something people like to talk about in our society because we kind of live in a godless society. People don't want to talk about the impact of God.
Yeah,
we act like chance is a thing, but chance is not a proven phenomenon.
Yeah,
chance is what people call God when they don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
But really, like when I say Allah provides, like there's so many circumstances in my life. Like I look at right now, I'm not a rich man by any means, but when I look at where I'm at right now versus 2 years ago, it's like it's completely Allah just providing for me.
Yeah, bro.
Just increasing my risk.
I mean, I just told this story to one of my friends, but I was like, a couple months before my wedding, I had like a couple things to pay for, so I was like, basically I didn't have a lot of money, and I still had to pay for like meher, like all this stuff. And there were still things I had to pay for, and I was like, I don't know where this money's gonna come from. I'm doing it like I'm gonna try to get more money on the side or whatever. I'll ask if I need to, but like I'm doing my best, right? And then randomly, like all of a sudden, I get an email and it's like, oh, my university had just gotten like COVID-19 like relief money, and because I qualified for a specific grant for financial aid, they were like, you are now going to be awarded $5,000. Like it's like a one-time award of like $5,000, and I was like, in the middle of the summer, I wasn't in school because it was summer. Like there was no reason for me. There was no reason, quote unquote, for me to be getting this money, and I got it, and that covered what I needed to cover.
It's always like that. I hear stories like that all the time. I heard a story of one brother, like literally, like he was gonna get married next week. His car is about to shut down, and he needed like something like $5,000 or something. Like this is consistently reoccurring. I just want people to understand. It's like if you're getting married because you understand this is what in the Quran, this is not disputed, whether you're Sunni, Shia, and everything in between. Allah wants you to get married. Allah even tells if you're a slave to get married. If you're a slave to get married, like this is upon you. This is a command by God. This is God command. This is no like small thing. I'm not telling you to go meditate for 5 minutes in the day and take a cold shower like this BS. This is what God is commanding you to do. If you're doing it because of that, who can stop you?
Yeah.
That's it.
Get
your bag, bro. Get your religious bag up. Inshallah,
all my abundance.
Yes, sir. Inshallah, I pray all my brothers and sisters listening to this. If you're single,
my kings
and queens. If you're single, you get married. Inshallah, you know this is just our. We're not experts, you know. I think this video, inshallah, can just be looked at as like motivation. You know, everyone's circumstance is different, but we're just encouraging you to do the right thing.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of the Marriage Banter.
All right, guys.
We'll see you guys soon. Peace.